All right, going live in three, two, one. Well, this is Olivia on Air, episode number 19. And I got Olivia on with me this evening. How are you doing, Olivia?
I got a little indigestion, but other than that, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm doing pretty good. As I was telling you before I went live, we had to postpone our show because last night I was like so groggy I couldn't even form words or sentences. That's how bad I was. So that's why we're doing our show tonight instead of on a Tuesday like we usually do.
Perfect. It's all good.
Uh, what's going on in your world? Anything new and exciting?
Nothing super new. I wrote 2 essays today, so lame. But other than that, doing pretty well. I did some drawings and like paintings that I sent to you so we can look at those whenever. I did those recently, and I also baked some bread. I really like baking bread and making soup, and I'm really considering moving to like, I don't know, some European country and becoming an old woman who makes soup and bread for the community.
Huh?
And then just doing that for the rest of my life. So, yeah.
Becoming an old woman, that's going to be a long time before that happens, though.
I know that's so annoying. It's gonna take so long to wait. But when I do hit like 80 or something, that's probably what I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna have to get a really big pot for soup. So,
Hmm. The what kind of food are you going to prepare aside from the soup?
what else is there other than soup? I want to learn how to make hummus, but I don't have a mortar and pestle yet. So,
Say that last part again. You don't have a what? I don't know what that was.
oh, a mortar and pestle. It's spelled Mortar space and space Pestle. And it's like you know what they make guacamole in?
No,
It's like a bowl with like a little musher thing.
I probably would if I saw it, but to me, unfortunately I don't know how a lot of food is prepared.
Oh,
Uh,
it's okay. It's a bowl with like a how do I explain this? The bowl is the mortar, and the pestle is like it's like a stick with a blunt end, but it's not necessarily made out of wood. I don't know if that makes sense. It's like it crushes up food in a bowl basically. It's like before people had food processors, they would use mortar and pestles, and you just mush things. You can make pesto, hummus, you can grind up spices, you can just do a lot of different stuff, a lot of different like mainly like seasoning or sauce based, things sort of like that. You can also grind up flour from wheat with that kind of stuff. I think that's how it's used in some places. So,
hmm, I see. Uh, as far as as far as this food, how would you deliver the food to the people?
well, you can scrape it out of the bowl, and then you can just put it in a container or on stuff, I guess. I mean, if I was making hummus for a community of people when I'm 80, I would probably have to get a really big mortar and pestle and then make a lot of it, and then I guess just leave it in the bowl because hummus is more of a dip.
Mhm.
And people are just gonna have to pinky promise not to double dip or something like that.
Okay. Well, if I'm around, I'll come by and get some food from you.
Okay, perfect.
I got a picture. I got one of your pictures here. I'm going to bring it up. So here's your. What is this? Is this what was this you made right here?
Well, those are brioche buns. They're very big. I made them once before, and I made I think 12, and then obviously here I accidentally made 9 because I did not measure the loaves, but they still turn out delicious, and you just get more bread, so it's really fine. Um, I'm practicing making brioche. I would by no means say that I'm an expert. Brioche is kind of hard to make because it's a little more finicky than other breads. But I think I'm doing pretty well so far. And bread is bread, at the heart of it. So
Mm-hmm. What is there anything about this bread in particular to make it taste any different?
not really. I think this is one of those. There are some breads that um, are more savory and some that are more sweet, but I think this is one of those neutral ones where if you put, I don't know, if you put like fruit or something on it, or jelly or whatever, then that works. But then if you use it with some sort of soup or something, that also works. So nothing super special about the ones that I make anyway, but they're pretty good. Just
Hmm.
bread.
Well, it looks good. I definitely would like to taste it with that. See, I'd like to taste that. What else would you add to that? I'm just curious.
Well, I usually eat them with soup or for breakfast. If I'm, oh, you know what? Something that I do that, not gonna lie, some people think is kind of gross. Um, I I put hummus on a piece of one of these, and I put the hold on, wait. I I slice one of these open. I put it in the toaster. I get the hummus out, and then once the toast is done, I take it out and I put the hummus on it. Um, and then I slice up a zucchini and I put that on top of the hummus, and I put paprika, turmeric, black pepper, and I think basil, just because I like basil a lot. And then I put a little sriracha on the zucchini, and then I eat it, and it's really good to me. But I feel like some people might say that it's gross.
I would say taste anything. I don't judge anything until I actually taste it, uh, unless I don't know, unless it looks like it might be bad. It doesn't sound like it'd be bad. I mean, I used to eat some of the most gnarly hot dogs from the vendors on the street of DC when I used to make deliveries in office buildings. I'd walk out and they'd have those things look pretty nasty. You know, they used to call them roach coaches. I don't know if you ever heard that expression before, because they
I have not.
so like there's the roach coach because they're so dirty that there's roaches all over the place. I call them roach.
Ew.
It's just an expression. I didn't see the actual roaches though. So, but yeah, they would pull out the hot dog and dump all this stuff on there, and I tried it. It was okay. It wasn't the best, but it's okay. So yeah, I'll try anything, especially if you make it. So
That's true. I mean, it's hard to mess up a hot dog. I feel like it's. I mean, you can make it fancy, but I feel like it's hard to like really get it wrong. Maybe if you put like peanut butter and jelly on it or something, that would be like wrong, wrong, like a sin or something.
ever tell you about my peanut butter and jelly sandwiches I used to have when I was a kid? I don't know if I ever said this before.
I
Um,
don't know.
my mother would she would make me a bologna sandwich and a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So because they were next to each other, they would get mixed together, and so I get a little bit of peanut butter and jelly on my bologna sandwich. So I actually liked it for a long time. I'd actually I would ask her to make a peanut butter and jelly and bologna sandwich. And
Oh no. I mean, I guess kids like weird stuff. I used to put ketchup in my mashed potatoes and I would mix it around so I'd have pink mashed potatoes. I tried it recently and it still holds up, so it's still pretty good, I'm not gonna lie.
that's interesting. Ever try anything else with your mashed potatoes?
Um, Not really anything that shouldn't go with mashed potatoes, but if you think about it, you eat ketchup with fries, which are potatoes.
That's true.
So,
Yeah.
is it really so wrong?
It's
Yeah, kind of. But,
I've heard people putting ketchup on other things. I can't remember what it is. Something I don't remember. It's going to come to me later when we're at least expect like when we're done with the show or something. It's I used to put ketchup on something and it was sounded so weird, but apparently it's a common thing for some people. So I if I remember it, I'll say it though. So, what other pictures do you have? Did you want to go through other art, the pieces of art
yeah.
that? Okay,
Um,
these up here.
let's
There.
see. If you go to the one before that one, that's the one where I figured out that like watercoloring grass isn't too hard if you just look up a video on how to do it.
Okay.
And so I did it with that one. And then the one to the right,
Explain.
the one we just looked at.
Yeah, well, before we go to back to the other one, explain that watercolor and I think you talked about that last show. Explain it again?
Watercolor. You know what watercolor is?
Yeah, but you said watercolor and grass, and I
Oh,
wasn't.
that's yeah. That I just that's grass. It's like a hillside or something. And that's what I'm trying to make it look like.
Okay. Is there any as far as with the blue? I don't know what the blue is representing there. What is
Oh,
that?
that's the sky.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right, and then we go to the next one. Oh, there we go. Okay, that one I can make out there a little better as far as that. So go ahead and tell us about this one.
That's more of like a hillside sort of thing. The colors don't look exactly right, but that's because I'm painting with Crayola watercolors, so they're not really meant for, you know, more professional painting. Um, but that yeah, it's just like a big field. It's supposed to be.
Now, why are you using Crayola watercolors? Is there something special about that, or
That's what I have.
okay? I wasn't sure if there was anything significant to that. So okay, the now there was one more picture.
Yes.
Let's see, there we go. Okay, there we go. Okay,
I was practicing drawing an eyeball, and so I thought I would include that in because I think it's not the worst that I've ever seen.
hmm, that's pretty interesting. Now, what's the one on top? What is that? Is that
That's an eye, but it's upside down. It's the other, yeah, it's like the other way around.
okay? I don't think I can flip this around. So, but we're looking at the correct way, though, right?
No, but if you're watching, just turn your computer around, and then you'll see it for the
Okay.
viewers out there.
Did you want me to turn it around? I could. I have to bring up another program for that. It would take a second.
No, it's okay. The one on the bottom is right side up, but the other one on the top is upside down.
What's on the side here on this?
Scribbles.
Okay. And what is the little line that's going to the eye? Is that
That's
something?
another scribble.
Oh.
Yeah, I had a few sketches on that page, so I don't want to waste paper.
Okay, that's pretty cool. The now what is this? Is this you said just practicing, or is this going to build up to something more? Or
Well, I want to practice eyes more because I got noses down pat, really. Um, but I am not good at eyes yet, or the rest of the face. So eventually I'll get there.
okay, well that's pretty good. I do like them both. I mean, very. I hope this doesn't come across the wrong way, but the eye on top almost looks like something you see on a whale or something like a whale's eye or something. I don't know.
That's cool. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, if you like turn your head around or something, maybe I don't know. If you look at it the right way, it's supposed to be kind of like maybe like a eyeball in shock or a little angry or something.
It
But
definitely looks angry for sure. Yeah.
from the right wrong side, it kind of looks less like an eye. Really, it kind of looks like an avocado or something in the center.
Well, that's pretty good. Do you was that was it? Okay, I was going to ask if there are any others. Okay, that's cool. Alrighty. Well, let's go ahead and look at our question from last week. Remember what it was?
Let me see. It was something
Was it?
about video games. What type of video game do you like playing most?
Yeah, there we go. All right. Ooh, it's got a decent response too. There it is.
Also, for the listeners, if you hear my voice is mucusier, it's just because pollen is pretty bad around me right now, so
Ah,
I'm
I,
getting attacked.
I got something too. So my voice was almost. It felt like it was really dry before, and it actually feels pretty good. I was going to say something myself. So, but right now I'm pretty good. So I might go. I might. You and I might both have some voice issues as we progress here tonight. So.
I'll mute if I hack up a loogie, so
Oh, okay.
you're welcome for for the future.
We got 2,000 votes on this one. Right now, that's pretty good. So, and 78% overwhelmingly like action and action adventure. Oh, I shouldn't have said it. Now my voice is acting up. Hold on a second. Let me get some water. Wait a second. Hold on.
Go for it. Action and action adventure. That makes sense because of what your main channel is, like GTA. I think that's action adventure. I'm sure if this question was asked on like a different gamer's channel, it would be like sports or simulation or something. So
Right. Next we got a tie at 7% with role playing and simulation. Sports next to it 5%, and then finally your choice at three. Oh, wow, your choice is only 3%. That's interesting. You think that would be a lot higher, but they didn't choose that one. Hmm. Very interesting. Let's take a look at the responses here. Dijon, as I say, Dijon, I think. I love every game. Uh, I can't read the name. Sorry. Horror and open world. Open world is kind of like what GTA is considered a lot. Sandbox.
right.
You ever heard of the term sandbox game?
No, but I do know what open world is. I think. Yeah.
Okay, a sandbox game is where you can go in and play. It's like the I guess you call it an analogy. You have kids playing in a sandbox and they can do whatever they want in the sand. And in Grand Theft Auto, you can start the game and do whatever you want in the game. You don't have to play in a certain order. You can do whatever. You can go play story missions. You can do other missions. You can explore the game. You can do whatever you want. And so that's why they call it a sandbox game. So.
Oh.
It's a term that's used periodically. I don't hear it very often, though. Let's see. Andrew says it definitely depends on my mood. Sometimes I want to play a fighting game. Sometimes I want an open world. There he is. Sandbox. He used the word sandbox there. I use an open world sandbox. And other times I want to race. Then there's other times where I want to open world platform with puzzles. That's interesting. Open world platform with puzzles. I would need an example of that to understand what that would be exactly.
Yeah, I can only think of the like 2005 Hoyle Bucks thing, but that's only because it has puzzles and there's no open world there actually.
See, I'm drawing a blank on anything else. I'm thinking I have played games. Oh, this is going to be a game that is very obscure that probably no one has played except for me and maybe a handful of other people. It's called Lost Via Domes, which is based on the television show Lost from 10 years ago. And in that game, you had to you had to solve puzzles. Like that's basically the majority of the game was just solving the puzzle, but it was the same puzzle over and over again, just a different routine, a different solution. It got kind of repetitive and boring after a while. So, but yeah, that would probably, I don't know if I don't think he's referring to that game specifically, but I think that would fall under that category. So,
Oh.
if you ever watched the TV show Lost, it's an interesting game, but the game wasn't popular, and they were going to make a sequel, and there was a cliffhanger at the end of the story, and they never resolved it. So you can get it real cheap on eBay or something. So. RTS. What is RTS? I should know what that means. Darn it.
I don't know.
I should know it. Action games, gun games, and I got a reply. Don't know what it says. I love action adventure, open world game, and racing games. A racing game. What does that say? Something romantic.
Tome?
A tome is what is that?
I don't know what that means.
Yeah. Okay. Little hearts and smiley faces and a guy with a tongue sticking out. Action adventure, GTA, San Andreas, FPS, which is first person shooter in GTA, open world, and Sandeep Mohanar, regular contributor, says action games made by Rockstar Games, GTA, and RDR, which is Red Dead Redemption series. So, a couple of responses. Let's see. Nothing really there. And racing for that one. Okay. I've tried certain racing games and they can get kind of boring if they don't hold my attention. So I'm not a big fan of straight racing games, but if it's a racing game within another game, like Grand Theft Auto, you always have some sort of racing game involved in it. Then I can do that. But if it's just straight racing only, I tend to get bored with it if I just, it might be kind of interesting at first, but then it just gets boring after a while. So.
Yeah, I kind of like racing games. I have some because my dad got some, and I forget what they're all called, but I like them. They're kind of fun, but then I forget that they exist eventually. I don't know why. And then I don't know. I just forget about them. I actually didn't remember them until we just talked about racing just now.
I can say there was one race. I don't know if you call it a race. I guess it's a racing game. Yeah, it is. This is really, really old. It's an arcade game from like I want to say like 1986 maybe. Let's see. I'm bringing up an image of it here. Here we go. Yeah, here it is. It was called Outrun. I used to play that, and at the time when it came out, it was. Let's see if we bring this up. I'm gonna. I don't want. We shouldn't get a copyright. On this. Oops, too loud. Bring it down a little. Um, this you can see how old the graphics are and everything. But this is the channel is AL82 Retro Gaming Long Plays. I'm just giving proper credit for this one, so I'm not stealing anything. So, uh, let's see. I'll play just a little bit of it. So, I remember playing this game and liking this. So, but like I said, this was an arcade game. This was before games were very sophisticated. It was basically just a straight track and with curves every once in a while. Oh, this is one of the first where you could actually choose the radio station. There, you had 3 radio stations you could choose from. So, the one thing that was kind of funny, but got bored, but got old really, really fast. If you flipped over the car, the girlfriend who was sitting in the right would not point her finger at the boyfriend who was driving. It seemed funny at first, but after a while, you're like, you just want to get back into racing because you're losing time, and so it got really annoying. After the first couple of times, you're like, oh, that's funny, but then you're like, just stop. I want to get past it. I want to get past it. So
That looks fun.
yeah, and I was driving a Ferrari at the time. I think the Ferrari was a I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Ferraris, but it's I would probably be able to tell when it was modeled after if I saw a real version of it. So anyway, I just want to bring that up there. It just completely slipped my mind until just now. So all right. Let's see. So we got a question for this week. I'm going to go ahead and bring it up. Did you want to go ahead and ask it while I'm bringing it up here?
Yeah. I think I said, do you decorate for Halloween? And if so, do you do like fun, kid-friendly decorations, or do you like horrific decorations? Because I've been walking every morning. I walk my dogs, and I've been seeing more Halloween decorations. And well, one of my dogs, Beverly, really hates when people put decorations that resemble other people up, because she's part terrier. She just does not like other beings on the earth. And so she screams at these, like, especially these 2 skeletons that people have sitting in like beach chairs, which I think is pretty funny. But anyway, I've also seen like actually like really scary decorations that would, like, if I was living in that house, that would freak me out to live there at night, especially. But I guess to each their own.
I will say that where I'm at, I live on a private country road that's only at the most maybe 2/10 of a mile long, and I have 3 neighbors that are directly from in front of my house, and 2 neighbors that are down like about another 10th of a mile away, and nobody I've seen has decorated their house for anything this year. So, and there's only one child that lives on the road that I know of. That's the house directly in front of me, across from mine. As a little girl, she can't be more than 4 or 5 years old, maybe not even that old. And I've not seen anything so far. And not that there usually ever is. So I've not seen anything. I do remember though, when I was a kid, that was a big thing in my neighborhood. Was seeing a lot of Halloween decorations going up. I remember some people go out of their way to play. Do you ever hear eerie music?
Yeah. Some people put on. Oh, there's this one house that there's a like a little skeleton, animatronic skeleton thing in front, and when you walk by it, I guess it has this like I don't this sensor for distance or something, for like motion or what, motion sensor, that's what it is. And whenever you walk by it, it cackles and like screams a little. So that's weird.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm not. I'm trying to think if there's anything that stood out. I Nothing really that ever stood out as far as like. There's always they always try to be as scary as possible though. I don't remember anything cartoonish. As far as cartoonish, what do you mean by cartoonish? Like
A few houses have these like inflatable pumpkins that have these like smiling faces on them. Just like literally just kind of looks cartoonish. It's not really, it's just for kids. It's not supposed to be scary at all. It's just kind of a fun little, just a little Halloween decoration. Nothing really like spooky or anything.
hmm. I do remember I was in the Cub Scouts when I was a kid, and the little group I was with, we they were supposed to paint pumpkins, and not carve them, but actually paint them. And they were little tiny pumpkins, not that big, maybe at the most like 8 inches in diameter, and so they weren't like the normal size ones. And the I everyone painted like gory faces on them. I was the only one that painted a football player. So and I chose it because there was a they gave us a book of picture of things we could paint, and I saw the picture the football player. I thought, oh, that looks. I'm not even a big football fan, but I do like the Redskins. But the and so I thought it looked cool, so I just painted the football player. I just copied what I saw in the picture. So and mine was the one that definitely stood out because it looked nothing like the other people's. They all had their standard. I don't remember. I would say the standard, where they carve it out. They painted the carving look, that kind of look onto their pumpkins. So, but actually, we had a little prize thing at the end. I won because mine was so unique compared to the others.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds unique. I've never seen a football player on a pumpkin.
And not only that, it wasn't even scary. It was just a regular football player. He was just ready to play football. So, I don't know why I did it. I just did. I can't. But anyway, it was just I'm as far as doing it. I think my dad would he would once in a while he'd get a pumpkin and he'd carve it out, and we'd eat the pumpkin seeds inside. So, but that's about it. That's the only thing I remember doing at my house. Um, yeah, I think it's about as far as decorations go. Did I ever show the? I don't know if I showed you the when I was a kid when I was dressed up for Halloween.
I don't think so.
Okay, let me do. I'm gonna bring that up real quick. I can show you. So, um, oops, give me 1 second here while I do this. Uh, yeah, it's a very old picture. Actually, it's me and my sister. And here we go. Let's see. The what do you do when you dress up? Do you dress up? I'm just kind of curious.
I think last year I dressed up because wait a minute. Oh, the year, I don't know. It's all blending together. The last time I dressed up, I was actually physically at college. So that was probably like 2 or 3 years ago now. Oh, Jesus. Um, and I did not put very much effort into the costume. But I haven't dressed up since then. I don't know. I don't really want to go out. I kind of pretend like I don't exist when Halloween happens. Like our house, we just like shut all the lights off and pretend like no one's home.
Do you try to avoid the trick or treaters when you do that, or?
Yes. For like this year, it's especially important that we do that because our dog Beverly, like I mentioned before, she's a terrier, and we have put her through training. She gets exercised every day. I mean, she gets everything she needs. It's just that terriers are a little bit more aggressive because it's just kind of how they are. She won't do anything. She just barks a lot. She's actually very scared of everything, but she just barks a lot. And so I don't want to scare kids with a barking dog. She's not really that nice to other people, or dogs. She just hates everything, really. But we love her. It's okay.
She gets along with you though, right?
Yeah, she loves us, but she hates everything else. Everyone else on Earth. She's just like, it should really only be our family to her, you know?
Okay, here's a picture. I found the picture while we were talking. Here's me. That's me. That's my sister. So,
That's
uh,
fun. What's your sister? But I don't. You're a cowboy, right?
yeah, yeah. I took when I first saw this, I thought that was like a sombrero. It's actually just a regular cowboy hat. So there's a shadow. What happens? There's the hat yet, and this black area above on the top is just the shadow of the light of the camera. So it's shining, I guess, on this. Because I thought it's just a regular looking cowboy hat, really. So, but yeah, I guess she's like a princess or something, or I'm not sure. So,
Oh,
but yeah, I had a little mustache, so so
that's fun. I think I used to dress up as. I know I did one year as like a Disney princess of some sort. One year I dressed up as a horse. Not sure why,
It
but
wasn't one of those dual costumes where like you one person's the front of the horse, the other's the back of the horse, was it?
I don't know. I don't think so. I just remember it was when we lived in California and the Monterey Bay Aquarium was hosting like a little trick or treat thing for kids, and I'm pretty sure I went as a horse one year for some reason. I don't know why. Um, and then I don't know. I was it was pretty much just princesses and stuff like that. Nothing really super creative.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know what she was dressed up as. I assume it's maybe a princess, but I don't know. So she's oh, let me bring that up one more time. You can see she's wearing a tutu. So I guess she used to do ballet, so maybe she's wearing her ballet outfit,
Huh.
and so I guess so I could probably ask her. She probably wouldn't know either. So maybe she does. I don't know. So anyway, I
Maybe
don't.
like a famous ballerina or something.
Yeah, yeah. The I don't have any other pictures. That's the only one, so I won't bore you with the other ones. So, okay. So does that look good?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We'll go ahead and post that. Cool. We'll come back to it. Oh, where'd it go? Oh, wait a minute. Make sure it's there. Give me a second. Make sure it actually appeared there. You don't see it. Okay, good. It's there. It just seemed to disappear. Okay, cool. We can go minimize that now. All right. So the movie we're talking about this week is 2001: A Space Odyssey. You're the one that recommended this one, and you had never seen this before. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And when you recommended this, I was like, I didn't want to say it at the time, but I was like, oh my goodness, I think the movie is good, but I always get really bored during certain segments of the movie. So, not saying it's a bad movie at all. It's just I can get really boring sometimes. Um, the I've seen it twice before, so this is my third time seeing it. The last time I saw it was the mid '90s, and I know I don't think I said this to our audience, but I told you that I saw it in the Uptown Theater in D.C., which is on Connecticut Avenue near the National Zoo, and it was in a big theater, and it was really interesting to see this movie on a wide screen, a big full screen, the way it's meant to be seen. The first time I saw it, I don't remember. I think it was on a regular old style TV. You know what pan and scan is?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, the movie. I assume you saw the full widescreen version of the movie. Did you?
Yeah.
Okay, the movie. When I'm trying to bring up the player. Give me a second. I'm gonna bring the sound down so it doesn't do anything here. Give me a second. When on the old style TVs, they were done in a 4:3 aspect ratio, and so when you try to play that on, here it is. You try to play that on a okay, when you try to play this on a oops, don't want to play on an old style TV, if you don't want the black lines to be at the top and bottom, you're going to cut out almost half the screen. I think it's almost entirely half of the screen because it's so wide, which is a shame because that's how I originally saw it. So, and pan and scan means what they do as the movie progresses, they pan the image left and right as the movie's progressing, so you focus on what they think you should be looking at because they're not showing you the entire image. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a little weird.
Yeah, and this was way back when they saw the more squarish TV sets. Now, I'm sure you're familiar with those, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, and around the turn of the century, they switched to the 16:9 aspect ratio. So it's more common to see the black bars at the top and bottom. But back then, it was like that was almost like a big no-no. They never did that. So I missed a lot. I missed essentially I missed half the movie if because I couldn't see what was going on the screen. So you missed the proper context. You missed the way the Stanley Kubrick, who's the director, wanted you to see it, and and when I saw in the theater, I was like, okay, now everything looks so much better. And then, of course, this is the widescreen version as well. The version that you saw, did it have an intermission in it?
Yes.
I thought that was kind of interesting that was in there. The I've I don't know if you know this, but the movie how long was this? About 2.5 hours, I think. Let me see.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and from what I understand, movies back then were they made them longer, but they make them shorter on purpose nowadays so they can get more screenings in. So if you have a movie that's only an hour and a half long versus 2.5 hours long, you can get, say, maybe more screen times in during the day so they can make more money. So that's why movies are so shorter nowadays. They get more showings, and the intermission that's completely unheard of. But I do remember when I was a kid, I think I actually went to a theater where there was an intermission, but I was very very young. It's something you'd never see nowadays. And it's just basically people walk up and get a and get a get a drink or something and come back in. Have you ever seen a movie in a theater with an intermission before?
No, but I have been to a ballet, and there was an intermission there. So I think they still do those, and I think in like third grade, my class went to an orchestra for a field trip, or maybe it was like fourth grade. I don't know. We went to an orchestra for a field trip, and they had an intermission then, so that was cool.
The As far as the movie itself, I gotta say, I'm not, even though I got a little bored here and there, and I wasn't bored throughout the entire movie, but there were segments where I just felt it was just kind of dragging on a little. The visualizations are really really good. The special effects for the time are also very very good. There's images on there that really stand out. The interesting thing is watching a movie that takes place in it's supposed to take place in 2001, yet they're all dressed like it's the 1960s, which is kind of funny. The sequel to this movie, which is called 2010, the year we made contact, was made in '84. Everyone in that one looks like it's in 1984. So even though it's supposed to be 2010, so they just make the movie the way what the current trends and fashions are. As far as the movie itself, the ending, did you understand the ending?
Not really. I know that the movie's like theme is like life and death and stuff like that, but was it like he became like a star? I think it said he became a star child or something.
Hmm. According to some of the trivia I read, Stanley Kubrick said he's the guy I think he's the one that wrote the novel too. And I'm sorry, not Stan. He's the director. I'm sorry. Arthur C. Clarke is what I meant to say. Arthur C. Clarke said that this was on the trivia section for IMDb. This is where I read this, that if you fully understand the movie, then the movie wasn't made for you. So he purposely wanted people to have questions at the very end of the movie that couldn't be answered. So,
Oh,
and when I first saw it, I was definitely like really confused as what was going on, and I thought it was like I said, it was very interesting. Uh, I've been talking. Why don't you tell me how you felt about the movie?
I'm not gonna lie. No, I don't want to offend anyone, but I don't think I was this movie's target audience. I was bored for most of the movie, and I have ADHD, so when I get bored, I get a little angry. It's just kind of how my brain works, and so I kind of skipped through a lot of it because Jesus Christ, it went on for so long doing nothing. And I understand that was like kind of the point of like, I think part of it was trying to have people sit and just like watch without having to have constant action or something like that. But ugh. And the beginning, ugh, oh my god. The people, okay, we've established before that I don't like monkeys and I don't like gorillas. I think they act too much like people, and the fact that they look like people a little bit creeps me out. These are people in monkey suits that look kind of like they could be gorillas from afar, and then they zoomed in on their faces, and it was awful. Sorry. It was so bad for my eyes to see that. Oh my gosh. I would like to cleanse my eyes from that image of like when it really zoomed in far on their face and you could see their human eyeballs.
Yeah,
That's too much. Take the camera back.
yeah.
I respect the movie for being like
There we
that.
go.
No, I can respect the movie for being very revolutionary for its time and very impactful for a lot of people. I completely respect that, but this freaks me out.
I was when I watched this, it was very sometimes I think the actors did a good job of portraying primitive primates, whatever you want to call them. And sometimes they came across, I could tell they were definitely humans the way they were jumping around. But then I started to tell myself, well, wait a minute, they are supposed to be human ancestors, so I mean, you could argue that maybe that's why they had some human qualities to them. But yeah, you're right about the faces. The masks were, well, if when I look at it, sometimes from a distance they look more realistic, but when it close up, it just looked obviously kind of like they were wearing masks. So, and the from from my was when I watched Siskel and Ebert's review from way back in the day. Of course, they were not, they reviewed this as a like a retro movie, because this was, I think they reviewed it during the 1980s, and um at least they just talked about it. I think Gene Siskel stated that every time the monolith appears, it's uh, that's when human beings become more violent. Is that right? It doesn't seem to make any sense. Maybe I misunderstood what he said, because obviously in this scene they become very violent, but the monolith appears on the moon, they don't become violent, and they don't become violent at the end. I think I might have missed something on that. So, um, and the the movie as it progresses, yeah, like I said, it was very boring. I'm not sure if I would ever want to really sit down and watch it another time. It's the third time is pretty much enough for me. But the second movie, I'm gonna step into that. The second movie comes on. It's not like this at all. As far as how it's not directed by Stanley Kubrick, and the tone is completely different. It's like watching an average movie. Like, this is not an average movie. This is unique. It's its own thing. The second one is just like some average movie you'd see. There's no compelling music. It's just a story that goes along. There's a lot of talking, and the tone is so massively different. It's like you're not even watching the same. It's not. It doesn't even feel like it's in the same world. They went out of their way in the second movie to make sure that the sets were identical, at least the ones that were used in this movie, because they go back to the spaceship that's around Jupiter to see what went wrong. So all the sets that they visit are identical. They did a very good job of doing that. But the and then they explain how the computer, I don't know how malfunction was the right word. They explain why he did what he did to them, and why he killed off all the people. And so in the second movie, is basically there's a whole bunch of explanations that are not really needed. It's just explaining this, explaining that. You're like, okay, and you get bored. It gets bored for a different reason. Like, this one is just long and drawn out, boring. The other one is just boring because it's constant talking, and you're like, okay, we don't need all these explanations, and it's like, and you just want to move on, turn it off anyway. So, I only saw that one once, and I was on TV, so I don't want to see that one for sure. That one is not worth the time. But for some reason, I thought there was a third movie. Maybe it's a book. I think there's a third book in the series. I think it's called 2060. I don't know, but I looked it up on IMDb, and I couldn't find a third movie. So I guess there's only the two. So as far as is there anything else in the movie that really stood out for you?
I think this is what I think. I think if you were on drugs, this would be a great movie to watch. I think if that is your thing, then this is a perfect movie to watch. But I don't know. It's just kind of boring. And then the special effects for the time were obviously really great. But when I don't know what time it was, but near the end of the movie, when all those different lights and stuff were flashing, it reminded me. Let me see.
Look here.
A little further, I think. Yeah, a little further.
Oh, you talking about what was at the monolith here, right?
Okay, a little bit further.
Okay.
This kind of stuff. That reminded me of, I used to have a 3DS, like a Nintendo 3DS, and you could use filters like that on pictures, and so that's what it reminded me of.
Oh, like the landscape where you like.
Yeah,
Oh,
you could use that kind of filter. So, it reminded me of that. I did not like that, I'm not gonna lie.
oh,
Who
you didn't
would
like it?
decorate their house like that?
Oh,
That's awful.
so you didn't like the house, is what you're saying? Is that what you mean? That
Correct.
Okay, I thought I want to make sure to establish you weren't talking about the effects or this stuff right here. Did you like?
No. It's fine. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I remember seeing this the first time. I was like bewildered as to why it went from being futuristic to being like very what's the word, antique like, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, like you're back like this is something you'd see at a at a hotel, or like a, I don't know, not a hotel, like an old style, something from the 1800s or some or something, or 19
Yeah.
or I can't visual. I
Yeah, Victorian furniture. Yeah.
that's good. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, yeah. So it was just so weird it went to that kind of style. But yeah, I can understand what you're saying. Um,
Yeah, if they had put carpet down instead of like a dance floor, maybe it would be better. But that looked like a dance floor to me, and it looked like a dance floor, but like a Jane Austen dance floor. You know,
Jane
Jane
Austen.
Austen is like this author from the 7, 16, 17, 1800, the past. And
Uh,
yeah, it just reminded me of like if Jane Austen made a club or something.
I know the name Jane Austen. I don't know where I've heard that from. So what has she written? Is she
She's written Jane Eyre, or Eyre, I guess, Pride and Prejudice, um, Emma, which is, I think we talked about the movie Clueless, and that was based off
oh,
of Jane Austen's Emma. So yeah.
okay. Okay, that's probably where I heard it. I knew it was something. It was I remember it was something recent. Okay, cool, cool. Alrighty. Well, yeah, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you what you were saying before.
I don't think you interrupted. That's, yeah, I kind of summed it up.
Okay.
But yeah,
And
not really a movie for me. I'm not gonna lie. I do think that a lot of people like got a lot of inspiration from it, and that's great.
yeah, and if for anyone who's never seen the movie and you see it for the first time, you often see a lot of these scenes and go, "Oh, I've seen where that's been parodied, in some way." So, I don't know if you said, did you see any scenes that came out like that?
I don't think so. None that like really stood out to me.
Oh, okay. The scene I wanted to bring up one scene that I thought was really interesting. One of the effects, if I can bring it up, they were doing some repair work. It's when Hal first reports that there's a piece of equipment that's broken, and they go out to this right here, and they bring this out, and then they come back in. If I can get to it, I do this. Yeah, this scene right here. Um, let's see the imagery that they show. Maybe I can't find when they're actually scanning the device. Yeah, this imagery. It looks really basic, but I thought this was really cool looking. For especially for 1968, I was wondering how they actually accomplished this stuff right here. It looks pretty cool for 1968. Nowadays it doesn't look that interesting, but back then I was like, wow. I was just curious how they, if it's drawn, if it's animated, but it just really stood out to me. I was just curious how they did that. So
Yeah, the yellow one where it was like spinning around, it looks like
bring it back up.
that was it looks like it was that. It looks like someone took a bunch of pictures but with an X-ray, and then kind of like, you know how claymation is a bunch of pictures like sewn together or whatever. It looks like they did that kind of thing with X-ray pictures.
Hmm. Yeah,
So maybe
and
that's how they did it.
yeah, and yeah. Anyway, it just really stood out to me. All the effects in here, yeah. Anybody seeing this back in the 1960s, especially the way science fiction was treated back then, it was very usually not considered to be very serious. At this period of time, this is when science fiction started to become taken more seriously. Before this, I mean, you did have Star Trek, which was mostly serious, which had already come out before this. But a lot of the science fiction was treated kind of like silly and nonsensical. Um, not as serious. Not all of it. There was some serious ones, but it was still kind of generally speaking, publicly, people would like frown upon it as being something that was more serious. And this kind of changed that aspect of it. That's what I remember. And I also remember, and this is stuff I'm being told because I was not, I was not around when this was released. But also, from what I understand, after this was released, it changed the way science fiction was made for like the next 7 or 8 years until Star Wars came out. Star Wars was 68, so Star Wars came out 9 years later, and for that period of time after that, science fiction a lot of times had a more serious tone to it. really serious, like they were trying to make it as realistic as possible. And it was movies like this that made that, because this was so it was so popular that, obviously when there's something popular, people emulate it. They wanted to continue to create that kind of realistic quality. When Star Wars came out, that Star Wars is a more, I think you said you never seen Star Wars, is that right?
Correct.
Yeah, that's more of a fantasy. It's that Star Wars is very much fantasy with that's done in a science fiction. Like science fiction is the background, but the forefront of it's very fantasy. It's more like it's like wizards. You have and swords and things like that, but it's done with a science fiction edge. This is it's and then that kind of changed science fiction to be more of a fantasy thing. Whereas for like between here and when Star Wars came out, science fiction had a lot of the movies and stuff. If you go back and watch them, you'll see it's treated very seriously. Like there's no sorcery, nothing like that. And it was, I think it was mostly because of this movie. One movie that comes to mind, I can't remember what it's called. It came out in like 1973, I think. Uh, Silent Running. That's the name of the movie. Is also very serious like this. The same kind of added, same kind of tone. Everything is like very, they try to make it seem as realistic as possible. If you're in space, like I will say that in this movie, when they're walking around, you can tell there's definitely gravity there. They're trying to pretend that there's gravity. You can tell that they're not really floating around, except for a couple of the scenes. Most of the time when they're walking and they're supposed to be in, there's no gravity. You can tell that they're just faking it. Except for the one scene at the end. Yeah, right. He blows the lock
Yeah,
when he
I
blows up.
agree.
That was really cool. I don't know how they did that exactly. Yeah, that scene right here. But yeah, the rest of it, they clearly look like they were just faking they're trying their best to make it look like they're in art of no gravity, but you could see. So,
Right. I think now I know that there are like zero gravity like chambers or whatever that they're able to use in movies, but I think maybe then there were some, but they were like very expensive or something, so they could only use it for a small part of the movie or something like that.
hmm
Who knows?
yeah, yeah. And but it's still good. I'm not mocking, the people that couldn't do artificial gravity. In fact, this was before the moon landing, so this was not this to be this realistic. Usually, moon landing made a lot of things very realistic too. So
That's
uh,
true.
the other thing, I was talking about Star Trek. The first Star Trek movie came out 11 years after this, and it's also very boring. It's almost like they're emulating this movie in a lot of ways. So
Hmm.
after that, the movies got more action adventure oriented. But it's very much, if you ever see that movie, it's you be prepared to fall asleep like this movie. So
Yeah, it just I mean, again, it's definitely amazing for some people. It might be one of those movies that you either love it or hate it, you know. I don't I don't know. It's just not very it's not for me.
yeah, I would. I'm not lover or hater. I'm probably middle of the road. So I admire how it's put together, but I think the pacing is just really really bad, or well slow. I don't say bad, just slow. I won't say bad. So
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
the also I think there's a myth. Hal is spelled Hal, and I think there's a myth that's going around. I wasn't able to verify this, but I wanted to do this beforehand. That Hal was how they derived it was from IBM, which is a very popular computer. They make computers and everything. Is supposedly, if you look at the letters HAL, if you do it alphabetically, IBM comes one letter after that. So H and I, A and B, and L and M. So they supposedly that's how they derived HAL, was by moving it one letter off from IBM. I think that's a myth though. So my dad told me that when I was a kid, and I think someone actually said that was just a myth that was started for the movie. I just thought I'd bring that up. I don't know if it is or not. If someone knows, you can let us know, in the comments or something. But as far as anything else of the trivia, I don't really know. I can't think of any other trivia that pops into my head for this movie.
I don't know either, but that sounds like a fun little conspiracy. I'm going to go ahead and believe it. I choose to believe that. That's fun.
Yeah. I know my dad did, so he probably still does. So And I think a few years ago, I was watching somebody that said, "Nope, nope, it wasn't true," and I don't remember. I don't know. So I know that a lot of myths out there people believe. They tend to believe things that aren't real, and that's how. Especially with the internet, you can't believe anything on the internet. I've seen that several times. So until I see something concrete, I'll just say it's either way for me. Either way. So
That's true. It's a very, very big coincidence. That's what we can say.
yes, yes. All right. So I guess I'm not sure if there's anything else to add about this movie at this point. Um, just
I
getting.
liked
Go ahead.
I like the crispness of the images. It's
Uh,
nice. And it's always fun to see people predict the future. I think that's always a fun thing to see. How
yes.
they think that people would eat food or anything, and especially with the amount I think um well, I know that there's like a lot of videos that astronauts make while they're in space now, and they like share how their life is and stuff like that. So it's interesting to compare it to that. And also, I went to the Air and Space Museum when I was like 10 or something, and they had the astronaut food. I don't know if you've ever had like tried astronaut ice cream or whatever. It's fun.
Oh, really?
It
Yeah.
looks, I mean, it would be gross to eat it a lot, but it is fun.
Interesting. Well, in this case, they do have gravity here, so because they're spinning around, so it might be different than the regular astronaut food that you saw. So
That's true.
I do, and you're talking about predicting the future. I do like how they have these screens that they're looking at that look like big pads that we'd use nowadays. So
That's true. They do look like iPads.
very and done very well because if I remember correctly, there's movement on that. The effects that's pretty good how they did. I don't know how they did that, but that's done very well. So.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. I just I just thought, oh, they have iPads.
I wonder if they projected that on there. Maybe. I mean, the image is identical. The one thing I remember I did want to add. Sometimes there wasn't much of a score for this movie, the musical score, but once in a while it was playing, it sounded almost identical in some ways to I don't remember if the movie Alien with Sigourney Weaver. There's Alien, and then there's Aliens, which is the sequel, and the music that's playing during parts of this is identical to one of those two movies. Nearly identical. It was like so close. I've seen those movies a few times, and I don't know if it's the same composer or what, but or maybe they were trying to pay like a homage of sorts in the Alien movies because Alien takes place in that they try to make that more realistic and gritty. So maybe it was like intentional. So, but it was very much close to it. It's like I said, the score in this there's not much of a score, but every once in a while it was like very obvious. And that movie, have you ever seen Alien or Aliens?
Yeah, I was wondering about that because I thought the same thing, but I couldn't figure out why it reminded me of Alien. I've seen all of them because my parents have like a full pack of them or whatever, all of the series. Um and I couldn't figure out what reminded me of the movie, and I think it was probably the music.
Yeah, yeah. So, like it was blatantly obvious. That was well to me it was anyway. So, but and yeah, it was just interesting. The rest of the score in this movie is more or less just the sounds of like a group of a chorus of mostly it sounded like male vocals making like making sounds with their with just I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. I don't know how to describe that. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's like a cappella, but only one sound,
Right,
you
right.
know? No instruments or anything, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that I guess that constitutes the score in parts of the movie. So and the and then there's of course there's the classical music that's mixed in this which is done pretty well. So um and the I believe all the classical music in this is it's from I don't think any of it's new. That's what I'm trying to think. I don't know if it's all. I don't know who composed it originally, but I don't think any of it was composed just for this. I think it is all classical in the sense that like whoever. And I'm not a music. I'm trying to figure out who did it. I don't know who did it, but it was all done in the past, is what I'm saying. So
Hmm, interesting.
So and so those songs that you hear in there have just a lot of times are now associated with this movie, but they were actually composed centuries or centuries ago. So, um,
Right.
and let me scroll through here. I guess that's fine. As far as your rating on this, what would you give this movie?
Um, for me personally, I would probably have to go with a 4 out of 10. I for like the respect level I have for it is going to be a 7 because I understand the impact that it's had, but from like would I watch it again sort of thing, did I enjoy it? I would give it a 4. What would you give it?
I'd probably go a little higher. I'd probably say like maybe I'd probably go with maybe a 6. So all over for both of what you said there. Um, primarily because I think that the effects are and the way everything's edited together is done very well. It's just the pacing's the only issue I have an issue with. Um,
Right.
and there are scenes. Oh, the TV show. I will say this: the TV show about or the miniseries Battlestar Galactica, which came out in 2003, which was a drama. The scene, it's really funny. If you ever see, have you ever seen that show before?
I saw something that I think reminded me of Battlestar Galactica with Alan Rickman in it.
Yeah, no, he
Let
was
me
not in
figure
that.
out.
No, it was
It was like a movie though. Um, I don't know if it was Battlestar Galactica. Keep
the
going. I don't think it was.
this
Oh,
scene.
it was Galaxy Quest. Sorry.
Oh, okay. The this scene right here where she's walking down the airport. They're the wait, I don't want to say airport. It looks like they're in an aircraft, like a regular conventional airplane. Passenger aircraft. That's what I'm trying to get the right word out there. This scene was clearly emulated in the in that miniseries for Battlestar Galactica, and the writers even said they were drawing inspiration from this scene when they did it. So like the woman walking down the hallway, the clothing is like almost identical from the shoes all the way up to her what she's wearing on her top on her head. It's very obvious that they copied this, or I don't know if copy is the right word. Just a homage to this. So it is in that particular episode. Oh, it was actually the miniseries. There were more passengers in it than this. It wasn't just the one person, and that was what their version of Air Force One. So like or became Air Force One. The woman who was she was like 43rd in line in the government, and when the president of the country of the colonies in that show was killed off, she became the president, and so it became that they used the set that looks like this in that show multiple times, and it's just interesting. I'm just bringing it up because anyone who's seen Battlestar Galactica, you would this really pops out, and it's really obvious that they were trying to show draw. Just copy or I don't want I keep on saying copy. I'm trying to say the right word. Just emulate or pay a homage to it. So
Right. That's cool.
yeah. Alrighty. So would you recommend this to anybody?
I would recommend it to people who like thinking about existence and stuff like that. I don't know anyone like that, but
The comment you made, if you're on drugs, you might like this better.
yeah, yeah. Like I can understand why a lot of people would like it a lot, especially that color part because I feel like I've never taken drugs, but to observe the friends that have my friends that have taken them, it's like it seems like time is a little different and like your perception of the world is a little different. So, I guess it depends on what your drugs you're taking, but.
hmm And I think I told you this not during the show, but from what I understand, hippies used to go see this movie by lying on the theater floor. So I assume maybe they may have been taking something as well. So maybe that's why they like it so much. So, but that would fall in line with what you're saying there. So,
Yeah.
alrighty. Yeah, I guess like it's definitely a movie that has, I guess you would call it an acquired taste. I guess is that a good way of putting it?
Yeah, it's like it's definitely very highly respected, but it's not for everyone. Just because it's like very good doesn't mean it's for everyone.
Right. And I can imagine seeing this movie based on what I've seen from the 1960s. seeing this compared to what was going on at the time really does it is really visually astounding. It really is.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah. If it was like the 60s or the 70s, this would be probably a 10 out of 10 movie for me. I don't know. If I had never seen anything like it before,
mhm.
then yeah.
Oh, and these sets right here, I have seen some of the making scenes. This set right here, where he's walking around with the artificial gravity with it spinning like that, that was actually a big wheel. They actually made that a big wheel for him to walk around. So that's actually rotating while he's walking there, in case you're wondering. So uh,
Oh,
I don't know the scene where the woman is walking in the aircraft before the flight attendant. I don't know how they did that scene. There's a scene where she walks upside down. Obviously I think they did the same kind of thing where they rotated her around, but that's a pretty cool effect. So, do you know what scene I'm talking about?
I think so.
There, right there. That was it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was, yeah. There we go, right there. Yeah, I think that was the same kind of thing. I think there was basically the camera. She's basically I don't know. Somehow they were rotating that around, and she was obviously gravity. It's an actual. It's actually filmed that way. It's not like an optical illusion or something. Well, it is an illusion, but I mean, it's not like post production or anything like that. It's actually filmed that way. Is what I mean. So,
Right. It reminded me of Inception.
did they do that? I haven't seen that in a while. So,
I don't think they do that, but there's something where they're walking on the walls and stuff, so
oh, okay, okay. So, alrighty. Well, that's I would, if everyone out there, I would say, yeah, go ahead and watch it. But keep in mind, you might be a little bored. And it's not because I'm definitely not looking for something that's action adventure oriented. It's just for me, it was, like I said, just the pacing issue. So, um, yeah, I've watched movies that are people will say are very boring, and I don't see any problems with them. So each person's gonna have a different reaction to this, I think. So,
yeah. It's definitely something that I feel like everyone should watch eventually, but you should prepare yourself. Maybe get a craft or something for when it gets really boring.
and the other thing, going back to the second movie, the sequel to this, I think Arthur C. Clarke also had he also had input into that movie. But as I said, it just came across as a very average, almost mediocre movie. And with the exception of the fact that they go to Jupiter to see the space station, a lot of the stuff takes place on Earth, and it's you see cars and everything. It just looks like it doesn't look futuristic at all, except for the spaceship. Everything looks like it's like taking place in 1984. Whereas this one, even when they're on Earth, everything or around Earth, everything looks futuristic. The other one does not. So they didn't really make much of an effort. And like I said, I wouldn't even recommend the second movie. It didn't do very well. So
Okay.
cool.
Yeah, I don't think I didn't even know there was a second movie.
Yeah. And there's no music. There's no the score is there's it's not like this. This feels like a major artistic expression of sorts. The other one does not, and not even in the slightest. So, uh,
Right, right. Yeah, this was definitely very artistic, that's for sure.
yeah. Alrighty. Well, let's go back check our question before we wrap everything up here. Uh, I got a decent response. 44 votes so far. Do you decorate for Halloween? If so, do you use kid-friendly, cartoonish decor or really scary decor? And we got 66% with I don't decorate. I didn't expect that to be that high. I guess it makes sense though. 16% with I don't care. We got a tie with 7% with scary decorations and a mix of both, and 5% with cartoonish decorations. Hmm. I honestly didn't think the I don't decorate would be that high, but I guess like I said, thinking about it, I guess it makes sense.
That's true. I mean, I don't really decorate, so and I don't know. I mean, I feel like I don't think people would consider just like putting a pumpkin out decorating or anything, so maybe it's not counting that, maybe?
Yeah. And yeah, when I was a kid, the most we ever did was like I told you my dad might cut out a pumpkin or something. That's pretty much the most we ever did. We never did anything else. No, nothing spooky. I do remember looking at the neighbors' houses. I think it was kind of cool and everything. So We got Sandy Mohanar with "I Don't Decorate." In our country, India, people don't care about Halloween and its decorations. While everyone celebrates Halloween, it's almost a regular day in India. Oh, okay, that's
That's
cool.
cool. Yeah, I should have included I don't celebrate Halloween, but I mean I guess that's kind of in I don't decorate
Yeah.
or I don't care.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's true. That might have been why the it got so high up in the response there too.
That's true. Yeah.
So if you look at it that way, I don't care, and I don't decorate. That's the vast majority there. That would be, yeah, we're talking like 28, 70, 83%. Is that right? So that's not that high. Is that right? Yes, it is. Wait, is that number adding up there? Hold on a second.
I have no idea. I could
It,
not tell you.
it doesn't.
67 plus 16 is like I think it's like 80 something.
It is. It is 83%. I was right. Okay. And the other numbers didn't seem that up afterwards. 774. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So 83% basically don't do it. So that could be because they're in other countries. So, alrighty. Well, thanks everybody for watching, and thanks for taking part in our poll. And we'll come back to that next time. And anything else before we wrap everything up?
Thanks everyone for listening. Bye.
All right. Have a good one.